Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. With the new season of The Crown underway, we'll be taking some time on the weekends to do some episode recaps. Yesterday's Palace Intrigue covered Season 5, Episodes 1 and 2. Today, Episodes 3 and 4. Spoilers ahead. When we last left the Royals, Andrew Morton's book had been published, but The Crown is going to make us all wait for that payoff. Episode 3 opens in Alexandria, Egypt in 1946. Mohammed Al-Fayed is selling Coca-Cola bottles on the street. He declares himself the best salesman in Alexandria. A wealthy man asks if they can trade together, making 50% of the profit each. Then they see the abdicated King Edward waving at the crowds. Later, Mohammed states that he wants to be just as powerful as the kings and queens before them. Mohammed gets married and starts a family and names his son Dodi Fayed. A jump to 1979, Mohammed meets Mr. Sidney Johnson, a man that used to work for the King of England as his valet. Mr. Johnson trains Mohammed how to be a royal, including hobbies, making good English tea, and how a duke should dress. Mohammed wants to be close to the Queen at a horse riding event. He's frustrated that he isn't. Later, Mohammed makes everyone aware that he wants to own Harrods, the famous British retail shop. Dodi is concerned with the ambition to buy Harrods, believing it leaves little finance for his aspirations. The father and son argue, with Dodi wanting to prove his capability. When Wallis Simpson dies, her possessions come under control of the French. Mohammed manages to broker a deal to restore the old house as a gift to the royal family. The Queen and family members are concerned that all possessions are with Mohammed and want to solve the situation by getting some items from Villa Windsor back. Mohammed is overawed that he will finally get to meet the royals. Upon completion of the 3-year renovation, Mohammed invites the Queen to visit the property, which he has renamed Villa Windsor. The Queen learns there are some possessions the Crown definitely wants back, including the Duke's diaries and material that suggests he and his wife were Nazi sympathizers. At a horse-riding event, the Queen sends Princess Diana to sit next to Mohammed. Diana tells Mohammed that she's been sent as a substitute. The pair get along immediately, and Mohammed introduces his son Dodi to Diana. Palace Intrigue will be right back. In episode 4, we check in on Princess Margaret, the guest on a radio show. The show asks her about her true loves. She explains how age makes you reevaluate which ones were real and lasting. Remember Peter from 35 years ago? He's back and sends a letter to Margaret. He's coming to London. Margaret tells Elizabeth about the handwritten text from her ex, but her sister isn't exactly enthusiastic. She reminds Margaret that Peter was married when they first fell in love, and now he's an old married man with grandkids. Then it's time for the children's marriages to fall apart. Andrew wants a divorce because Fergie got her toes sucked and there are pics to prove it. It sure is awful when there are incriminating photos, Andrew. Anne is already divorced but wants to marry Tim. And then there's the big one. Charles wants to break it off with Diana. The Queen tells him that marriage is for life. Being happily married is a preference rather than a requirement. And as for Margaret, well, Peter is dying. Things are bad enough for the Queen, but then Windsor Castle catches fire and over 100 rooms are destroyed. Did Diana start the fire? Andrew Morton? Margaret? Or maybe it was just a blown fuse? It's the Queen's Annus Horribilis, and she gives her famous speech. Imelda Staunton discussed her portrayal of the Queen and revealed she began working with a dialect coach starting in 2019, as well as reading about the Queen, talking to people who knew her and watching as much footage as she could. It's like music. You learn it a year before so that it's in your body, she said. As for the death of Her Majesty being so close to this season's release, she said, I think it has affected how people are talking about the Crown and perhaps understandably feel protective about the family. All I would say is that we try to do this with as much integrity and respect as we can. We'll give you a chance to catch up on the series and do more episode recaps next weekend. There will be a normal episode of Palace Intrigue tomorrow. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite shows. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott, Palace Intrigue, and good times.